Welcome to the Remediating Data Loss Incidents and Tracking Risk Reduction module of the Symantec Data Loss Prevention 15.7 Planning, Implementation, and Administration course. A critical step in reducing data loss risk is to understand where that risk is coming from and how it is showing up in an organization. An important key to understanding risk in an organization is the ability to create, customize, and interpret data loss incident reports. After assessing initial risk, organizations can create a risk reduction process that includes effective incident remediation. Effective remediation requires the establishment of an incident response team and a streamlined incident remediation workflow designed to reduce the amount of time and effort needed to resolve data loss incidents. Standardized and streamlined remediation translates into faster risk reduction in the organization. In this lesson, we'll discuss how Symantec DLP assists organizations in reducing risk through the use of its reporting and incident remediation features. In this lesson, we'll cover the following topics: how to create and manage a proper incident remediation workflow, how to view and interpret incident snapshots, and how to use incident reporting options to identify and assess risk. Incident remediation workflow. In this topic, we'll discuss how to create an effective remediation workflow and some of the options provided for it by DLP. A successful data loss risk reduction program combines a strong software solution, such as Symantec DLP, with business processes that take place outside of the software program. Such business processes typically include processes for training users on secure data handling, and frequently reviewing policies with relevant stakeholders, for instance HR or legal, or the data owners and DLP administrators. It is important to remember that a data loss risk reduction program is iterative, and that you need to review it periodically to ensure you are meeting existing goals and accounting for new causes of risk. Organizations and their business processes change constantly, and your data loss risk reduction program must evolve to remain effective. Some of the common changes in an organization that frequently require updates to your DLP program can include 1. Changes in your organization's definition of confidential data. New types of confidential content may appear through a merger or acquisition, for instance. Old types of confidential content may be retired or made public, or an organization may simply expand the scope of its DLP program to include more types of confidential data over time. Secondly, changes in your organization's business processes. New business processes may be introduced, while old processes may change or fall into disuse. Third, changes in employee behavior. Long-term employees may start handling confidential data in a new way, while new hires may include high-risk users who have not received proper training on data security. Fourth, changes in technology. New technologies, applications, or devices may come online and influence the way employees handle confidential data. And finally, organizational changes. Other companies may be acquired and incorporated into your organization, or existing business units may be altered, dissolved, or sold off, or new business units created. For these reasons, it's important to review and update your risk reduction program, including your incident remediation workflow, on a regular basis. Creating an effective incident remediation workflow is essential to your incident response team. A good incident remediation workflow streamlines remediation, which translates into fewer incident responders spending less time remediating, thereby driving down total cost of ownership. Your workflow should ensure that the right people respond to the right incidents. For instance, you may have 2 first-level incident responders remediating low and medium severity incidents, while you have an incident response manager reviewing high-severity incidents, along with any incidents that are escalated by the first responders. Your workflow will also ensure that all incidents are resolved and that there is a record of actions taken. For instance, your workflow may include several different statuses for resolving incidents, indicating the reason for resolution, while the incident snapshots themselves will serve as the records of the incidents and any remediation actions. Your workflow should also contribute to policy tuning. For instance, if you see false positives resulting consistently from a particular policy, you may want to get that information to your DLP policy authors so that they can modify the policy accordingly. Finally, a mature incident remediation workflow lets you analyze new and evolving risk factors in your organization, and helps guide you in developing policy and remediation responses to these new risks. Incident statuses indicate the general state of an incident. For instance, that it is new, as in just captured, escalated, based on the circumstances of capture or on initial review, or resolved, meaning remediated appropriately according to your incident remediation workflow. Use incident statuses to process incidents through your workflow and to enhance report filtering and customization. All incidents start out with a status of new. This status can be changed automatically through response rules that are included in your policies, or manually during incident review either directly or through a smart response. When creating statuses, think about which statuses you need generally, but also consider how these statuses will be applied, whether automatically, manually, or both, which users will be applying them, and how they will move incidents from user to user in support of your incident remediation process. Some common statuses that customers create can include investigate, or escalated, and various statuses indicating how an incident was resolved. Depending on the structure of your remediation team, you could decide that a general status, such as investigate, could instead be a status group with multiple statuses such as investigate HR, investigate legal, investigate compliance, or investigate business unit. One of the most common status groups is for resolved incidents. For instance, you might create a resolved incident group that includes constituent statuses of resolved notification, resolved training, resolved false positive, or resolved fixed process. Assigning resolved incidents the appropriate resolution status is critical for tracking and auditing the successful remediation of incidents. The figure shown here shows a simple example of how statuses can be used to drive incidents through your workflow. In this example, some incidents can go straight from a status of new to resolved, which can happen, for instance, with low-severity or info-level incidents captured strictly for auditing purposes or as background information to aid in the investigation of significant high-severity incidents. Other incidents may go from new to escalated status, and from there might be resolved with notes after review, or alternatively changed to status investigation so that they are routed to the appropriate responders. In this example, the ultimate goal is to remediate incidents and move them to resolved status, or to determine that they are insignificant and can therefore be moved to dismissed status. All Symantec DLP users are assigned one or more roles, which govern what they can access in the system. Users with multiple roles have a designated default role, but they can specify other authorized roles at login when needed. Roles are a critical part of Symantec DLP generally, since they let you control which system users have access to and which features are available to them. For example, organizations typically have specific roles for system administration, policy management, and user management, which includes the privileges for role creation itself. An important use for roles, however, is to implement your incident remediation workflow, which is why so many of the available role configuration options concern privileges for accessing and taking action on incidents. You have many controls over the types of incidents that users in a given role can see, and at the most basic level you can specify the product modules for which the role can access incidents. However, you can also filter the list of accessible incidents by any system or custom attribute, or even hide the values of specific attributes in the accessible incidents, in the interest of protecting employee privacy, for instance. One of the first decisions to make when designing an incident remediation workflow is the general pattern of incident flow. There are two basic approaches to incident flow. Fan out, in which a core incident responder or response team reviews incidents first and then distributes or fans out the incidents to a wider team of responders as needed. Or fan in which a distributed team of responders with various specialities and responsibilities reviews incidents first and then escalates severe or unusual incidents to a core incident responder or response team. Many customers start with the fan-out approach because it is practical to train a small core incident team to review incidents when first implementing Symantec DLP. And over time, when customers have a chance to refine their remediation processes and to train a larger, more widely distributed team, they often migrate to the fan-in approach, or perhaps to a blended strategy of the two. This figure depicts the fan-out model. In this approach, a small group, usually information security personnel, serve as first responders for all incidents, and escalate critical incidents through defined channels to appropriate personnel, for instance, forensics, legal, compliance, or HR, for further investigation or resolution. The first responder team is small and focused, while the escalation responder team is larger and more distributed. The escalation team often contains the business process or confidential data experts. Their expertise and judgment is required to remediate more severe incidents, or help determine if there is in fact a broken business process or employee education issue. Over time, customers often distribute the incident response workload to the business units, following the fan-in approach, as shown in this figure. With this approach, a distributed group, usually business unit specialists or data owners, serve as the first responders for all incidents and escalate critical incidents through defined channels to appropriate personnel for further investigation or resolution. The first responder teams typically contain the data owners and business process experts. They know the employees in their organizations, what data those employees should have access to, how the data should be used, and how the business must operate to be successful. And they are often held accountable for ensuring that their organization is protecting company-sensitive data. Additionally, depending on many other factors, such as the policy violated, incident type, or other criteria, a customer may develop a blended approach where some incidents follow the fan-in progression, while others follow a fan-out progression. For instance, when a customer activates a new policy, they may elect to deploy a fan-out strategy initially until the policy is tuned, and incident responders are trained on how to process incidents for that policy. Different methods of grouping and assigning incidents can be employed in conjunction with the fan-out or fan-in designs. An important thing to consider when choosing a method for assigning incidents is the number of incidents a responder can realistically review in a timely manner. It is recommended to create Symantec DLP roles that provide access to specific subsets of the incidents for review. The following are some examples of how Symantec customers have used roles for grouping incidents for remediation. 1. Incidents grouped by severity. Incident responders have different roles that let them see incidents of specific severities. For instance, one responder might review high-severity incidents, while another reviews medium and low-severity incidents. This approach can be used to ensure that high-severity incidents are dealt with first and by responders with appropriate knowledge and authority. This way of distributing duties can be combined with either fan-out or fan-in strategies. Secondly, incidents grouped by status. Incident responders have different roles that let them see incidents of specific statuses. For instance, one responder might review incidents with status new, while another reviews incidents with status escalated. This approach is often used to establish a workflow hierarchy and promote incidents to the next level of the hierarchy. This way of distributing duties can be combined with either the fan-out or fan-in strategies. Third, incidents grouped by status and business unit. Incident responders can have different roles that let them see incidents from different business units that may be optionally of a particular status, such as escalated. This approach is often found in fan-in strategies, where the business units are the first responders. However, it can also be used in a fan-out approach, when the first responder can set incident statuses as escalated to route the incident to the appropriate business unit for further remediation. Fourth, incidents grouped by status and policy group. Incident responders could have roles that let them see incidents that violate their assigned policy groups that are optionally of a particular status, such as escalated. For instance, you may assign specific responders to review regulatory and compliance incidents, or you may assign responders fluent in specific languages or located in specific geographies to review incidents for the appropriate country or region. This way of distributing duties can be combined with either fan-out or fan-in strategies. To summarize, a documented and iterative remediation workflow will help drive down risk in your organization. Such a workflow should 1. Document the process for remediating different incident types, whether by severity, business unit, policy, or so on. 2. Define the response team that will remediate the incidents. And 3. Account for the part that legal, HR, business unit leaders, and so on will play in refining the workflow iteratively and in remediating risk outside the DLP system. Symantec DLP provides many internal features that support remediation workflow, including custom reports, incident statuses, role-based access control, custom attributes, and smart responses. You can combine these tools along with DLP policy and automated response options to implement your organization's documented remediation workflow. Viewing incident snapshots. In this topic, we'll discuss the different types of incident snapshots and the important data contained in each of these incident records. DLP incident analysis, remediation, and reporting are all built on the data loss incidents the system captures based on your policies and configurations. The records of these incidents, called incident snapshots, contain relevant information and details about the incident. Much of this information comes directly from the action that triggered the incident. For instance, when a user sends an email with a confidential attachment, the system captures information about the sender, recipient, email body, email attachments, specific violations, and so forth, all of which are included in the resulting incident snapshot. In addition, incident snapshots may optionally contain contextual information about the incident pulled from third-party sources such as Active Directory servers. Incident responders will rely on incident snapshots to see complete incident details, to verify whether any automated actions, such as blocking of an email, have been taken, and to remediate incidents individually. The incident snapshot contains complete details for any given incident, everything from incident highlights, such as protocol or vector, and any automated response actions taken, down to the specific matches that violated your policy. It is important to be comfortable analyzing incident snapshots, especially for high-severity incidents whose significance might not be immediately apparent, and which are critical to remediate effectively. The entire incident snapshot contains a great deal of information, but the highlights will appear in the top left, including protocol for network incidents, repository type for storage incidents, or endpoint vector, as well as one or more icons representing any automated response actions taken, along with incident status and severity. These highlights will help incident responders quickly see what happened with the incident. For instance, in the incident record shown in this figure, you can see incident highlights in the top left indicating an SMTP incident in which an email is blocked, as shown by the red stop sign icon, with a current status of new and severity of high. Directly underneath, you can see the Symantec DLP policy or policies that were violated, followed by the incident details. These details include email sender, recipient, subject, and attachments, along with general incident details such as the detection server or detector that captured the incident. Storage and endpoint incidents contain similar details relevant to their specific incident types. In the middle of the snapshot, you can see the content matches or confidential data that violated your policy, along with some of the surrounding text that was pulled from the email attachment. At right are custom attributes that have been configured for this DLP system. These custom attributes are pulled from a source outside of the Symantec DLP system, such as Active Directory, and in this case shows custom attributes with information about the email sender and his or her manager, including their business unit, titles, email addresses, and telephone numbers. This type of information can be useful to provide incident background and to facilitate remediation. Smart responses available to users in the current role will appear at the top of the incident snapshot, where responders can quickly remediate the incident with a single click. For instance, a first-level incident responder might review an incident, see that it is high severity with a very large number of violating matches, and decide to click an Escalate and Notify Manager smart response, which changes the incident status to escalated, and then sends a notification to the sender's manager to apprise him or her of important incident details. Moving from left to right across the tabs in the incident snapshot, as shown in this screenshot, we can see the History and Notes tab. The History tab shows every action related to the incident, starting from the moment of detection through the latest remediation action. This includes any incident status changes, population or lookup of custom attributes, notifications, blocking actions, and so on. Information on the History tab is important in establishing what has transpired with the incident and proving the course of events to auditors or other interested parties. The Notes tab displays any notes that have been added to the incident, whether automatically, by smart response, or by manual entry. Notes can be useful for recording remediation actions that occur outside the DLP system, such as training for or manager discussions with the sender or user, or reasons for changing an incident status, to provide background for other incident responders, for instance, or perhaps any other details an incident responder wants to share with other remediators or administrators. The incident details shown in an incident snapshot will differ depending on the type of incident. For Network Monitor and other Symantec DLP detection servers that deal with data in motion, for instance Network Prevent servers and Cloud Service for email, the incident snapshots will contain these specific details: the protocol used to send the data, such as SMTP, HTTP, FTP, etc., the email addresses of the user who sent the message and the individual to whom the message was sent, the normalized IP addresses of the message sender and the message recipient, the file names of any message attachments in which confidential information was detected, as well as the header and body of the message that triggered the incident. For endpoint incidents, some of the details specific to endpoint data in use incidents are the endpoint monitoring channel on which the incident occurred, for instance copying to a network share or to a USB drive, the name of the user logged into the endpoint when the incident occurred, the machine name and IP address of the violating endpoint computer, the name of the application that caused the incident, the name of the file that violated the policy, the destination location or file path for the confidential data, as well as any additional information the system has been able to determine, for instance the ID string of the endpoint device or the ACL information for the file that caused the incident. In summary, incident snapshots are incident records that contain many useful information about each incident that's recorded by the DLP system, and the details can include the timestamp, incident type, incident severity, any info about the sender or the recipient, as well as any data match details. Incident snapshots also contain remediation controls to allow operators to manually remediate each incident, including custom smart responses. Each DLP product and incident type will provide its own unique details to the incident snapshot. Using incident reporting to understand organizational risk. In this topic, we'll discuss the reporting options available in DLP, as well as what information they provide concerning organizational risk. One of the most important steps in reducing data loss risk is to understand where that risk is coming from and how it is showing up in the organization. The key to understanding risk in the organization is the ability to customize and interpret data loss incident reports. With the incident reports provided in the DLP Enforce Server Administration console, you can achieve your organization's goal of identifying and assessing risk in your organization. These reports make it easy for executives or other stakeholders to monitor high-level risk across the entire business. Reports also let incident responders focus on prioritized incident lists and view the appropriate incident snapshots. Many organizations have incident response teams that include incident response managers, whose job is, in part, to review and remediate high-severity or escalated incidents. DLP makes it easy to create filtered reports for this purpose, as well as summary reports showing risk level by business unit over time, or user risk reports that help the response team prioritize its remediation efforts on the highest risk users. Out of the box, Symantec DLP offers over 40 incident reports to aid in incident remediation, to which DLP administrators can add any custom reports needed to support their remediation workflows. Incident lists contain all incidents that meet a given set of reporting filters. These reports include short entries for all included incidents so that reviewers can quickly see the highlights of a group of similar incidents. In terms of remediation workflow, incident lists are often used as work queues for incident responders, letting them review incidents one by one and enabling them to remediate similar incidents in batches. Note that because incident lists contain similar incidents in a very basic report form, they can also be good starting points for creating custom reports. For instance, you can start from an out-of-the-box incident list showing all network incidents, and then apply filters that narrow down the incidents to those captured by a specific group of policies, and then apply summary criteria to summarize the incidents by policy and network protocol. Summary reports let you view a set of incidents summarized by one or two incident attributes. This type of report can help risk reviewers identify patterns and trends, such as departmental violations over time, important for monitoring risk level and demonstrating long-term risk reduction. Other examples of summary reports can include department violations by policy or violations by policy or endpoint vector. Summary reports offer a way to represent incident patterns in an intuitive visual format. Incident dashboards can provide a high-level view of risk in the organization for executive stakeholders and DLP administrators who often don't need to get into the details. Dashboards can contain up to 6 constituent incident reports under one virtual pane of glass for easy review. For instance, a DLP administrator might want to regularly review a dashboard showing high-severity network, discover, and endpoint incidents, along with high-risk network and endpoint users, and high-risk content repositories. From the bird's eye view of this dashboard, the administrator could quickly drill down to reports with trends of interest. The User Risk Summary Report associates users with data loss incidents to let you quickly determine which of your users are high risk. Based on configurable incident filters, the User Risk Summary shows users in order of risk according to the number of incidents they have triggered, and lets you drill down to user information and to the details of those associated incidents. This information can be useful in helping you prioritize data security training and other remediation options. In summary, there are various types of incident reports available as part of Symantec DLP. These reports are useful to identify risk trends in your organization. Executives could use dashboards to monitor high-level risk across the organization, while incident responders can use incident lists to view groups of incidents that share common attributes, and to remediate incidents in batches as needed. Various stakeholders can use the summary reports to see risk trends organized by up to 2 attributes, such as by business unit over time. And authorized incident response managers can use the User Risk Summary report to identify high-risk users and to prioritize remediation by user. In summary, one of the most important steps in reducing data loss risk is to understand where that risk is coming from and how it is showing up in your organization. And the key to understanding risk is to customize and interpret data loss incident reports. With the incident reports provided in the DLP Enforce Server Administration console, you can make it easy for executives and other stakeholders to monitor high-level risk across the entire business. Every organization that implements Symantec DLP should create a risk reduction process that includes effective incident remediation. Effective remediation requires you to establish an incident response team that is governed by specific incident response parameters for your organization. A good incident remediation workflow streamlines remediation, which translates into fewer incident responders, spending less time remediating, thereby driving down total cost of ownership, and faster risk reduction due to quick responses. Remediation options, incorporated into your incident remediation workflow, include things as simple as modifying incident status or severity. Other options could include applying a smart response by clicking a button in the incident snapshot, for instance, to send a notification to the sender's or user's manager or to IT security. After you implement an incident remediation program, you can track and demonstrate risk reduction over time using the options provided in DLP's incident reporting. Thank you for joining us. This concludes the Remediating Data Loss Incidents and Tracking Risk Reduction module of the Symantec Data Loss Prevention 15.7 Planning, Implementation, and Administration course. In this video, we will demonstrate some of the incident analysis and report generation features of Symantec DLP. Once DLP has started monitoring and tracking incidents within your organization, you'll have the ability to create dashboards. Dashboards are customizable collections of charts, graphs, and other statistics to allow you to get a high-level view of incident management and risk in your organization. Each of these individual reports shown in the dashboard view can be clicked on to view specific statistics. For instance, we can check out the Incident Type Summary report, shown here as part of this custom dashboard. The Incident Type Summary report for protocol or endpoint monitoring breaks down the incidents by severity and also by category, such as copying confidential data to the clipboard or to cloud storage, or sending an inappropriate attachment in an email. Clicking on an incident category will display the associated list of incident records or snapshots. These incident snapshots will provide some valuable details about each incident, including when and where it occurred, as well as what response, if any, was triggered. For instance, this entry indicates that an incident was triggered when a file containing credit card information was used inappropriately, and this icon indicates that the response action taken was to encrypt the file before it was copied to its remote location. Clicking on an incident snapshot within the list will take you to the full incident details page. The details page will indicate exactly what type of incident occurred, in this case, a violation of the endpoint removable storage device policy, along with the judged severity and the specific policies that were violated. The incident details section at left contains more details about the timestamp as well as the machine location and the user if known. The middle section shows the matches of all the confidential data that was identified within the file or attachment that violated the policy. On the right side, we have an attribute lookup section, which can provide some other useful data about users and/or their managers when integrated with an outside service, such as Windows Active Directory. The incident's current status can be viewed in the top left, and its status can be changed according to its current state in the incident remediation workflow, such as escalated or resolved. The incident's current severity can also be adjusted higher or lower depending on additional investigation. The snapshot record also provides a history tab which lists all of the actions, whether automated or manual, that have been performed on the incident so far. The Notes tab allows incident remediators to add any custom notes for future auditors or administrators. And the Correlations tab allows some additional analysis for similar incidents involving the same user or the same endpoint location. Smart responses can be designed and configured on the top row of the incident snapshot, allowing remediators some additional options where they can click a button and automatically trigger status changes such as escalations or responses such as quarantines or email notifications. We can create our own dashboard within the Enforce Administration console by clicking Create Dashboard and then selecting which data elements and graphs we want to add to our dashboard. Here, we will create a custom dashboard that analyzes incidents broken down by business unit, with this dashboard also being sent out as a report through email every Monday morning. We can then choose up to 3 charts and tables on each side of the dashboard. Once dashboards have been created, each user can select their own unique dashboard to serve as their homepage whenever they log into the Enforce interface. Once a dashboard is updated and running, users will be able to click on it and see the breakdown of categories and incidents. In this case, a list of policy violations broken down by business unit, such as HR or sales. As before, the incidents are broken down by severity, and each individual category can be clicked on to view the associated list of incident snapshots.